Good morning, and thank you all for being here so early on a Monday ahead of a full day of public testimony at the School Finance Commission hearing. My name is Win Rosser. I'm President and CEO of the TLL Temple Foundation based in Lufkin, Texas. I also serve as Chair of TEGAC, the Texas Education Grantmakers Advocacy Consortium. TEGAC is a funders collaborative that was created in 2012 to unify Texas grantmakers around a multi-year effort to build support for and improve public education in Texas. TEGAC's members include 44 foundations, corporate, community, and private from across Texas, as well as United Ways. Our members represent Texas's smallest communities and largest cities. For many decades, Texas foundations have partnered with the state to support schools in their work in communities to improve public education. And our TEGAC members invest more than $700 million in grants annually in the state of Texas. Over the years, TEGAC has also served as an objective data and policy resource for Texas lawmakers and leadership, providing in-depth and objective analysis on a wide range of topics, including the impact of the 2011 state budget cuts to public education, research related to the HB4 pre-K grant program, and an assessment of how school districts are implementing the new high school graduation requirements and endorsements. Today, we're here to release some compelling statewide polling data that captured Texas voters' opinion on public schools, funding, property taxes, and how much the state should contribute to public schools to ensure our 5.4 million pre-K to 12th grade students receive the education they need individually and to ensure our state's future competitiveness. We asked Basilis and Associates to take the pulse of Texas voters on several key topics related to school finance. What we found is broad, bipartisan support for increasing state funding of public schools. We asked if Texans favored increasing the state's share of dollars going to education to provide property tax relief for local taxpayers. And after hearing about the issue, 71% of voters surveyed said they favored increasing the share the state provides in order to provide real property tax relief to local taxpayers. We also asked Texans if they favor a requirement that education tax dollars sent to the state must be used for public education and not used to fill other budget shortfalls or fund other programs. And 86% favored this requirement after hearing about the issue. Finally, we wanted to know what Texans thought about increasing the state's share of public education dollars from the current 38% to 50%. 68% of those surveyed after hearing about the issue favored that increase. We know well-funded, high-quality public schools shape our future, ensure a well-trained, highly skilled workforce, and better the quality of life for all Texans. We know it, and through these poll results, Texans told us they know it too. No matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, whether you're a rural, urban, or suburban voter, whether you have kids in public schools or not, whether you rent or own your home, Texans want their state to invest more in their public schools. TEGAC is pleased to share this survey data with our state leaders, and we're proud to stand with a very diverse, broad cross-section of business, philanthropic, and education leaders, many of whom are here today, to raise awareness of the importance of funding Texas public schools. As the Texas School Finance Commission continues its work, we'd like to remind our state leaders that money matters in public education and that money should be well spent. We also hope the Commission understands that public education is the key to the future economic success for individuals and communities in Texas. First, I'd like to ask Sandy Dochin to come forward. Sandy is with IBM and is chair of the Education and Workforce Committee of the Texas Association of Business. Sandy.
Good morning. Thanks, Win, and thanks TEGAC for inviting me here today in my role, as you heard, as the chair of the Education and Workforce Committee of TAB, the Texas Association of Business. The release of the statewide polling data is an important element in the larger school finance debate. I appreciate the School Finance Commission for providing an opportunity for broad public comment. Whether it's our ability to attract new business, prepare tomorrow's workforce, or bring jobs to our communities, there's vital importance in addressing school finance. We all know that. To me, education and economic development are about two sides of the same coin of what I would consider is the development of our human infrastructure. It's important to consider best practices in delivering a quality education, and certainly quality and expense don't always go hand in hand. On the other hand, I was a young reporter back in the 70s, shows you how old I am, and covered a couple of legislative sessions. Our leaders then thought that they had solved school finance. There was a big bill, I think it was in 1974, and or maybe 76. They thought they had solved school finance. It seemed really terrific, but it just didn't stick. And it seems through multiple lawsuits and multiple legislative sessions, we tried to address this crucial issue, but never with a permanent fix, it seems. And with population growth and a reduction in real funds or in funds needed for growth in population, the quality of our system has often been compromised. With cuts from several sessions that have not yet been restored fully, with many more school districts providing more of their school budgets than their proportion in the past, what seems to be laid out by the state, and with local property taxes increasing steadily to take up the slack from state reductions in a lot of cities and a lot of rural and suburban areas, and growth in students and people needing to be served, the system needs more than a quick fix. Lots of folks may disagree on the dollar amounts that constitute an excellent school system, but many of those folks can surely agree that the mechanism of our system is broken and needs fixing. These poll results underscore that a lot of Texans absolutely understand that a well-funded, high-quality public education system shapes our future, ensuring a well-trained, highly skilled workforce and a better quality of life for us all. Addressing school finance should, along with Hurricane Harvey recovery and maybe transportation, those are probably the legislature's top priorities for the next session. I sure hope they are. I'm grateful to our state leaders, including this commission and business leaders and TEGAC, for everyone's help in furthering this important debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. We appreciate your leadership on these issues, steady leadership for a number of years. Our last speaker is Christy Hassett. Christy is an elected member of the school board for Louisville ISD, and she is also here on behalf of the Texas Association of School Boards. Christy.
Support for public education goes back as far as 1836. The Texas Declaration of Independence stated, unless people are educated and enlightened, it is idle to expect the continuance of civil liberty or the capacity for self-government. Texans support public education. 90% of our students and their parents choose Texas public schools. The School Finance Commission that meets today has a very weighty goal. They are to develop and address the public school finance system. The new polling data at TEGAC shows an overwhelming support to do just that. Bipartisan support for our public schools, and Texans desire the legislature to take action. The ideas in the poll are very easy. The complexity lies within actually evaluating and making those changes. The commission is also charged with evaluating the relationship between state and local funding. Back in 2008, the state supported 50% of our local school districts. The statewide average today is only 38%. My district, Louisville ISD, has a state funding of 11%, and next year we'll be paying recapture for the first time since 2008. TEGAC's poll showed 68% of Texans favored increasing that state share, so that the increase was from 38% currently to 50% like it used to be. As property values rise, the state budget is the one that actually benefits from those rising property values, not the local school districts. Actually, the state benefited from rising property values of $5.4 billion in 2016-17. Property values are very much a hot topic these days. Local property taxes are high because the state isn't supporting the schools like they used to in the past. Real property tax relief only comes when we actually see a change in our school finance system. And the voters, once again, get this. The TEGAC poll shows this. The TEGAC poll shows 71% favor an increase in the state's share. The taxes collected in the name of public education are also used currently to shore up other parts of the budget. 86% of Texans favored in this poll a requirement that the local property taxes stay within the local property tax system, and they're not used in other funding areas within the state. Our state has worked hard to bring Texas businesses And with those businesses come communities and come family members. And with those family members come children. Those children have had a significant increase in the state of Texas, our public education system. We have 80,000 people, 80,000 students new every single year to our school system. That's equivalent of Whole Foods. Whole Foods has 87,000 people in their employees statewide. Or another example is Fort Bend ISD. Fort Bend ISD has 75,000 students. So 80,000 students is like adding a whole Fort Bend ISD every single year to the state of Texas. 80,000 students. So of those 80,000 students, roughly 8,000 would be special education. About 14,000 or greater would be actually the English language learners. Both of these populations need additional funding to thrive. Public schools welcome all students, but they have to have funding to do so. Representative Byron Cook recently stated, "How can the challenges facing the future competitiveness of the state's workforce be addressed if Texas turns its back on our public school system or does not address the method for allocating resources to our public schools?" Money matters in public schools, and that money must be well spent.
Thank you, Christy. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate your leadership on behalf of the state, particularly on behalf of the Louisville Public Schools. We're all anxious to take our seats for the public testimony, but we do have time for a few questions. And so if there are any questions, we'd entertain those now. We will be available if there are any questions, anything, any media availability one-on-one. Please have a great day and enjoy the public hearing.